From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Happy holidays from Weather NorCal and our sponsors. Have a wonderful holiday season.
Good morning, everyone. We've got another dense fog advisory for Glen and Butte County southward into the Sacramento region. There is still going to be some fog to the north of that, but where we're seeing most of that fog is to the south. And you can see some of the visibilities this morning are fairly low, especially down into southern Butte County, working its way Chico southward into Oroville. Not as bad for Willows, but still some fog there. And of course, still some dense fog south of that. So if you are traveling into the Sacramento region, just note that you will most likely be dealing with some fog out there. Taking a look at the Highway 44 Sundial Bridge Drive. Now, yesterday at this time, it was pretty foggy there. So conditions certainly have improved, although with the clouds moving in overhead, that certainly has helped. You can see out in Red Bluff, it looks like the visibility is certainly much better there than it was this time yesterday as well. And as we take you out towards Highway 99 at Neal Road, actually more dense than it was yesterday at this time. So some dense fog has worked its way into especially Butte County, but even parts of Glenn County as well. We're going to get into all of that in our deeper dive forecast and much more. But first, here's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast for your Wednesday, December 31st. It's New Year's Eve, the last day of 2025. Can you believe it? We're working our way into 2026. So out the door this morning, overcast skies, I think for everyone. If you're not dealing with fog in the valley, then or in some of those mountain valleys, then you're still dealing with mostly cloudy skies as that storm system rides up from the south. Now again, you can see that visibility is expected to improve later today simply because we are seeing that storm system coming in from the south, and that will give us at least better visibility, but then eventually the wet weather will begin to kick on in. And it's all thanks to the area of low pressure to our south, really drawing into that tropical moisture, and that's what's going to bring us the rain later on today. So let's take a look at our HRRR forecast model, and you can see here, this is just going to kind of show the timing may be a little bit different than our in-house forecast model, but I do think that the first half of the day will be mainly dry. We are seeing some indication that there may be a weak disturbance passing through early this morning, bringing us a sprinkle or two, but the bulk of the rain really moves in later this afternoon and this evening. There you can see by about 9, 10 o'clock at night tonight, it's the widespread rainfall, and then that will probably continue into the overnight hours. Hey, if you're heading out to the ski park, this morning will be perfect. It's going to be a great morning. So get out there one more day before the rain kicks in, because the thing is, later this afternoon and evening, it's not going to be snow up there on the mountain. It's going to be rain. So yeah, get out there this morning. Looks like the roads are all clear. You'll be in good shape. But then you can see here more rain for the mountain, unfortunately, for the ski park, for Thursday, and even the first half of the day on Friday. But then by the cold front passes through, snow levels drop. I don't still expect to see a couple of feet of snow, but you're talking about, 12 to maybe 18 inches of snow once we get that snow level low enough Friday evening through the day on Saturday, even into Sunday morning. Rainfall estimates or rainfall chances are going to be pretty much there almost every single day for the next 7 days. You can see the best chances will be Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Maybe a slight break on Sunday, more rain come Monday, and slimmer chances on Tuesday. But bottom line, a wet weather pattern is moving on in. So overcast skies really for the most part. If you're not dealing with fog, it's going to be high and mid-level clouds out there, and eventually that rain will start to move on in. So for tonight, you can see those temperatures dropping down to the mid to upper 40s. So not as cold. Why? Because we've got that cloud cover, and number two, we've got a warm storm system moving in overhead, and that's keeping those temperatures mainly above freezing, even for many of the higher elevations. So your 7-day forecast, it's a wet one, folks. It's going to be off and on chances for rain at least through early next week. And you can see here, taking a look at the coast, inland, and for Trinity County, snow levels high, 8,000 feet plus for today and tomorrow. So I haven't really even included the snow levels there. We do start to see those snow levels drop by Friday afternoon and especially this weekend. That's the case for Siskiyou, Modoc County, and the Eastern Mountains. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. Let's take a look at those headlines real quickly here. As that wetter pattern returns today with the potential for more flooding, mudslides, debris flows. So these are all things we have to continue to monitor here as that rain begins to move in. Keep in mind, yeah, we've seen several days of a break from the wet weather, but the ground is still very saturated. You may have noticed that you go on these hikes, still kind of sloshy out there, especially for some of that very saturated ground. High snow levels start off and then lower, start off high, that is. High snow levels. Yeah, okay. I was wondering how I wrote that. High snow levels to start off, and then lowering by the weekend with gusty winds by Friday, and not as windy on Saturday, but still gusty nonetheless. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. Now let's go into your deeper dive forecast, sponsored by Shasta Hearing Aids.
Frank, come help with the dishes.
What?
The dishes!
I heard it the first time. I just got back from Shasta Hearing Aids, but she doesn't know it yet. What?
Forget it.
All right, well, we take a look at that satellite image here, and what we've got here is low pressure spinning. All this moisture coming in from the southwest and even coming in from the south, kind of the combination of the two. And this area of low pressure is just drawing into that moisture, and that cloud cover is moving on in. Now you'll notice some activity here off to the west. This is eventually going to be impacting us here later this week. So again, we take a look at the atmospheric river tracker. And really, if you want to argue here, we certainly could say that we do have it kind of working its way up in here, but really it's mainly pointed to our south. But what's happening is this area of low pressure, the spin around it is causing it to kind of get caught up in the flow around this area of low pressure, so it's drawing in. So it's like there's a moisture tap here. It's tapping into that and drawing it into Northern California. So we're really not getting a direct impact from the atmospheric river, but this area of low pressure is what's helping to tap into that. So that's the moisture source for the rain that we will eventually see. Then you'll see we have another area of low pressure right here. And again, a stream of moisture coming in from Hawaii. So you could call this a pineapple express, right? And then it kind of just draws into that moisture with that area of low pressure. But what's going to happen is, yes, that's coming on in as we go into your Friday. This area of low pressure has a cold front associated with it. That will kick that surge of moisture down to our south. However, we've got a series of storms coming in from the Pacific that are basically have a source of moisture coming in from the south that is going to give us more rain as we go through the weekend, and off and on rain even into early next week. So looking at the satellite image, again, you can see all that moisture working its way northward. You've got the clouds. So if you're not dealing with fog that we're seeing in parts of the valley and even some of the mountain valleys, you're still going to be dealing with, if you're above that fog, you're still going to be dealing with high and mid-level clouds to start off the day, and this rain is all working its way northward. This, as you see here, is nothing terribly heavy, so once it does kick in, I do expect steady rain once that rain kicks in, but it's going to be steady light rain. So initially, we're not expecting any flooding for today, but that may change by tomorrow and going into your Friday as well. So there you can see that rain working its way northward. Now again, this is a warm storm system initially, so it's going to keep our snow levels very high, 7, even over 8,000 feet. But this storm system right here, here's the cold front. That cold front is going to be moving on in, and that's going to give us a few things. Number one, heavy rainfall at times, maybe even a few thunderstorms. But again, it's not going to be steady, heavy rainfall, but you will be dealing with the heavier rainfall at times. As I mentioned, maybe a few isolated thunderstorms in there as well. Then it's also going to bring in some colder air. That is eventually going to lower the snow levels, but still very high for today, tomorrow, and even into Friday. But by Friday evening, we get behind that cold front, colder air, it lowers the snow levels. So we'll eventually start to see it go from 7,000 to 8,000 feet, eventually to say 6,000 feet by Friday afternoon, Friday evening, and then by Saturday, Sunday, 4,000 to 5,000 feet. But we also expect, you see right here, these tightly packed lines, these are what we call isobars, and when they're tightly packed, that also means gusty winds, 40, even over 50 miles per hour. I think the coast will get the brunt of the winds. However, parts of the valley could see those as well, which we'll get into that a little bit later. And then after that, It's a parade of storms coming in from the Pacific that are going to be impacting us. Now, I will say this particular forecast model, the GFS, is keeping it wet for Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. However, the European forecast model has all of this down to the south, high pressure building in, and it dries things out come Tuesday, Wednesday. We'll see. I'm still keeping the chance for rain for the beginning of next week, but we'll kind of iron details out as we start going into next week. But taking a look at Futurecast here as we go into the weekend and really for the next few days, right? So there you can see this morning the clouds. There it is. You see how there's a little bit of shower activity trying to come in here before midday, but I don't anticipate that to be a big deal. There you can see by midday, the rain just beginning to work its way into the North State, and then it just works its way northward throughout the day. So if you are in Willows, Oroville, Chico, you'll see the rain first, and then eventually Wairika, Crescent City, Doris, late in the day, you'll see that rain. So it's going to be a kind of a hurry up and wait type of day. And then you can see overnight, we see mostly looking at kind of the widespread steady light rainfall. And then it looks like on Thursday, it turns over to scattered showers, off and on rain. And when it's not raining, when you're not seeing the light rain, it still may be a bit drizzly out there. We're going to be looking at a fairly saturated atmosphere. But this is also when we're starting to really saturate the ground as well. And the potential for flooding is something we'll have to watch starting tomorrow and then through the day on Friday and even into the weekend. But look at this. We actually see a bit of a break Friday morning, even for the first half of the day. But there's the cold front that's going to be moving in. So notice no snow really for the most part in the highest of elevations just yet, but then by Friday evening as that cold front passes, again, heavy rainfall at times. This is when we could start to see the potential for flash flooding, mudslides and debris flows, but also very gusty winds, 40, even over 50 miles per hour, down trees, power outages, something we'll have to watch for, right? And then, of course, we're seeing more snow, which means the potential for chain requirements, especially east of I-5 on the higher mountain passes, mainly above, say, 5,000 feet. But then we get behind that cold front, and really what we're looking at here is cold and unstable air. This will keep us with a continued chance for off and on showers, maybe some thunderstorms throughout the day on Saturday. As you can see here, the instability that we're seeing here with that cold and unstable air. And this continues into your Sunday morning as well, as that next cold front will push on through and we've got more snow in the higher elevations. So again, that off and on rain pattern sticks around here through at least the weekend, if not into early next week. Remember, I was talking about the ground is still very saturated, even though we haven't seen much rain. So initially, yes, we're not going to see any flooding as this rain pushes on through, but once we start seeing that heavier rainfall kick in, we've got the potential for flash flooding. Again, reiterating, we're not going to see what we saw 2 Sundays ago with that conversion slime, but we will see, even in the Redding area, the potential for some street flooding, the potential for creeks and streams to kind of swell up and maybe overflow, and I think even better chances along the coast. And we'll kind of go into, it's not just the rain that we're concerned about flooding for the coast, but even the tides. But we also go into your Friday. Once again, we kind of overspread the region with the potential for more flash flooding. So the ground at this point will be oversaturated. We get heavy downpours. Those heavy downpours is what can create some of that localized flooding. Again, some low-lying areas, local streets, creeks and streams begin to overflow a little bit here. Then we go and take a look at the rainfall estimates through Sunday, 5 a.m. There you can see for the valley, I would say for the valley, about 2 to maybe 3 inches of rain is a very good possibility across the board. More than that will be expected along the coast here. You're also noticing a couple of areas that are having, we've got these bullseyes, if you will. Southern Humboldt, we've seen that. North of the valley, and even into northeastern Butte and working its way into Plumas County as well. These are the 3 main areas where we're seeing some of the heaviest rainfall and have probably even the highest flooding potential out of that as well. Now, this is a different forecast model looking at where we expect to see some of the rain. Again, there are the bullseyes, one right here, and one over here. So these 2 forecast models that we're looking at here are both in agreement that that's where we're going to see the heaviest amounts of rainfall. Upwards of 5 for Garberville. There you can see Redding. Okay, that might be overdoing it, but I'd say, as I mentioned, 2 to even 3 inches of rain is a very good possibility. And then more than that to the north and east, much less to the north and east into Modoc County. And I'd say maybe 3, 4, well, really 3 to even, as you can see there, 5 inches of rain is a possibility. And again, this is through Sunday. So these are numbers that you kind of have to take with a grain of salt, but still, we do have some decent rain heading our way. Now, the heavier rain looks to be down into Southern California. We're probably going to hear about more flooding and mudslides and debris flows there, but we still can't rule that out for us here as we progress closer to the weekend and even going into next week. All right, let's take a look at the switch gears now and talk about the snow. We do have a winter storm watch for most of Siskiyou County and the mountains east of the valley. Now, this is for mainly elevations above 5,000 to 5,500 feet where you're going to see that heavier snow there, which is good, right? You want that heavier snow at the ski park, but not necessarily on the roads, right? But through Friday midday, even afternoon, those snow levels are going to be very high, 7 to even over 8,000 feet. But then eventually, you see how we're seeing more snow on the map at that point as we go into Friday night through Sunday morning. And I do think even some of the higher mountain communities will still have a hard time getting some of that snow, even as those snow levels begin to drop. So Chester, Susanville, Portola, these are all elevations mainly above 4,000 feet. So you see that potential for maybe some light minor accumulation. El Turris, you will most likely not see much in the way of snow. If you do, it'll just be a flurry here and there. Mount Shasta City, Bernie, I don't at this point anticipate any snow for you, even through Sunday morning. That'll, of course, obviously be the case for you in Weaverville and Hayfork as well. But Upper Shingletown, yeah, you know, as you get above 4,000 feet, you can see some snow. All right, now we talk about the winds. As of right now, the National Weather Service has a high wind watch for central Siskiyou County. It won't take effect until Friday, but there you can see those very gusty winds there. Now, we probably will see throughout the day today more wind advisories, watches, warnings, whatever, right? Because we are expecting to see those winds really pick up as we do go through the day on Friday. But today, tomorrow, not really. It's going to get a little bit breezy for your Thursday, but then by Friday, there you can see Friday around mid-afternoon, gusty winds, especially for the coast. The winds beginning to pick up. They're getting even stronger by the second half of the day on Friday, going into Friday night. There you can see some of the winds that we're seeing here as that cold front finally passes through. And then really even through the day on Saturday, some pretty gusty winds as well. So the winds are certainly going to be an issue. This is when we talk about that potential, I'd say Friday and even Saturday, the potential for downed trees, power outages, the works, right? Now this is taking a look at the forecast model for Friday and Saturday. And during that time frame, it picks out the highest wind gust. So as you can see, between Friday and Saturday, we're seeing upwards of even 40 over 50 miles per hour in some cases. Again, this is the type of winds that we can see that potential for those power outages and downed trees, broken branches, and your trash can probably blowing down the street as well. All right, take a look at the lake levels, over 100% for that capacity here, or historical average that is, not the capacity. We could certainly use more water in there, but we are in perfectly good shape when it comes to those lake levels. Wave heights, they are expected to most likely increase here. You know, the thing is, we're going to be dealing with those king tides here as we go into the next couple of days, and as a result, we actually do have a coastal flood watch for Thursday through Saturday for the entire coast here. We've got those king tides. So on top of the rain that we're seeing here and the potential for flooding, especially a lot of the the areas that tend to see most of the flooding during the rain, and some of the rivers, for example, like Eel River, for example, most likely seeing some of that. But also we have that coastal flood advisory here for this morning until 9 a.m. because of those high astronomical tides. So just be aware of that. Outside of the rain, we've got those king tides, which are going to create a few problems. Taking a look at the marine forecast for your Wednesday, east winds at 5 knots, waves from the west at 5 feet at 12 seconds. No advisories yet, but I do expect that by tomorrow, that may change. All right, here is your neighborhood forecast, sponsored in part by Dignity Health. We've got those temperatures in the mid-50s. There are those snow levels eventually dropping. As mentioned, we're starting off 7,000 to 8,000 feet for those snow levels for today, tomorrow, even into the first half of the day on Friday. Then by Friday evening, Friday night, we will see those snow levels begin to drop. Rain today, it will increase throughout the afternoon from south to north. So areas to the south will see rain first, and then eventually everyone seeing it up to the north later this evening and into tonight. And once it does kick in here today, it will be that steady light rainfall. 39 in Westwood, 47 degrees in Chester, 58 degrees in Shingletown. For the valley to the south, temperatures around 50, struggling to get out of the 40s, I think, for some of us. And looking at that 7-day forecast for Chico, and there you can see, of course, the fog that we are seeing this morning, and we'll see it through the first half of the day. But once that rain kicks in, the fog is no longer really going to be that much of a concern. And then off and on rain here, most likely into early next week. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to have to watch Tuesday and even Wednesday of next week because some of the forecast models are indicating it'll be dry by Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. But for now, I'm going to keep that chance for rain in there by next Tuesday. Looking at your 7-day forecast for Reading, low 50s pretty much through Sunday, really through the next 7 days. We're not going to see much change in those temperatures here. And then it looks like off and on rain. And New Year's Day looks to be off and on rain at least throughout the day. That is your morning update. I'll be back again at noon for your latest forecast. Have a great morning.